All right, so actually would like to address something that you have in the back there. You're saying the Big Bang happened right there. Let's go all the way back to the dawn of time with this, right? And this is a question I ask everybody who's a scientist. To be honest with you, I'm a very scientifically minded person, but I am a believer in God. I am a believer in in a supreme deity. But I try not to let that kind of cloud my judgment on what's scientifically true in the world. I do want to ask something about the Big Bang and everything. Our current estimation about what was existing before the Big Bang actually happened was a singularity of everything that was compressed in just one space, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so given what we know of, the universe, how one thing creates another thing, creates another thing, creates another thing, and ad infinitum. It's basically the whole process of the universe, how one thing gets created from something else. The one thing that actually bothers me a little bit more about this singularity argument is that while an infinite God cannot exist, an infinite mass of energy and an infinite mass of matter can exist. Like it's existed infinitely since the dawn of creation, the dawn of time. It has always been there, and I believe right there is a huge leap of faith that is exactly the case, because I believe that had an origination point.
Yeah. So
like something
I
had
think
to have put that there. Something had to have created.
Yeah, so the Big Bang doesn't say anything about how it got here, what happened before that moment. We don't know. Scientists very comfortably say we have no idea. Now, I mean, we can't deny that the universe exists. One thing that the Big Bang always confused the living crap out of me too, and it's not like I really understand it, but one of the things that helped me was, how can you compress everything into an infinitely small space? I mean, that doesn't really make sense. Well, it's because when you compress matter to a certain point, it stops being matter. And we know that matter can become energy. That's how a nuclear bomb works. And the opposite is true too. Energy can become matter. So the universe was so dense that there was no matter. It was just energy. Now, there's no such thing as the mass of energy, the volume of energy, the size of energy. Energy can be compressed into an infinitely small space. And that's where it's kind of like, okay, I mean, I don't really get it, but it makes it easier to sort of understand.
Question still remains but the overall question of that still remains that even if matter ceases to be matter at a certain compression ratio, and it becomes just a mass of energy that's not reactive, like say, if you put magnesium to say some other reactive element, boom, there goes the dynamite, right?
Yeah.
Right now we have a mass of energy, and we still have to ponder at from whence did that matter?
Oh, he's from
energy.
Yeah.
Instance.
Yeah.
And so the question I ask is okay, continue. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, we're basically gonna arrive back at the same point, and we don't know where all this energy came from, or what happened before, or if anything happened before. We just don't know. I don't fault people for their beliefs. The only thing that annoys me is when they dismiss science in favor of their beliefs. Galileo had this problem. he was a very religious man, but he tore his hair out with all these people around him who were just like, no, the sun goes around the earth. And he was like, no, it just doesn't, people. And they're like, no, book says it does. And he's like, no, it doesn't. You're interpreting it to say that, but it doesn't literally say that.
All right. So this argument that I use for I say I use for the to establish maybe the potential existence of God, because even I don't know 100% that God 100% exists, because I've never seen the guy. All right, I just believe he's there. I take it on faith that he is there. All right, so this linear argument actually works backwards from the singularity. All right, assuming that the singularity had to have come into existence by something or someone or some process putting it there. Let's bleep that thing out of existence and ask what's left. Before the singularity, what was there? Time and space. That's literally all we have.
Well, I don't think a physicist would say that. I think they would probably say there was nothing, and then you'd ask them what's nothing, and then they would say we are literally incapable of answering that question because of the nature of the fact that we exist in a universe. I mean, it's people expect that English grammar can explain every single thing, and it's like, well, no, it can't.
Well, all right. What I'm getting at here is that in order for any sort of energy to exist, there must exist a space for it to exist in. Otherwise, how exactly is it even present if there's no space for it to exist within?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's an untestable, unprovable claim. I mean, it sounds attractive, but it's literally impossible to prove or disprove that because we'd have to somehow create no space and no matter and see how those two things interact. And I mean, we're not capable of doing that.
Well, it's sort of like.
I think he's gone.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
They tried
real quick. I got 3 people in the waiting room. Real quick, I'm gonna give you the floor for a minute, but I do have like 3 people in the waiting room, and I want to try to get to a few more people. So we'll do like 2 more minutes or whatever. We've been doing this for 15 minutes at this point.
All right, yeah, I understand. But it's sort of like something like this, right? It holds my AirPods, right? What I'm holding is this space that contains the AirPods. The AirPods could be, metaphorically speaking, existence, right? Basically energy, mass, matter, whatever you want to call it. And without this, there's no place to put it. So this right here is the space, and within it is the matter and mass, right? And everything that governs everything within this space is basically that's time. Time governing everything because, basically time governs all the processes that we have in the known universe that we know of. All right, so in order for existence to even exist, we have to have 3 things: time, space, matter, or time, space, and mass, right? Take any one of those things out of the equation and existence literally falls into decay and stops being what it is.
Well, we can have a universe with no mass. It would just be energy. I mean, there can be space, but no matter in it.
Right, but then again, the space would have to exist for there to even be the potential for matter to exist. Because again, it's almost like saying, I need a cup of water, but I have no cup.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're looking at it from that perspective, you work back from the singularity to now there's just space and absolute nothingness, but there is space. Take away space, take away everything, and you have absolute non-existence, which is something we can't even comprehend. So what we can actually determine from that perspective is that before the universe could even be the universe, time and space had to come into existence before.
He's frozen again.
That we would have to look at a process that was able to, fabricate space, fabricate time. Two concepts that we can't even grasp.
Yeah.
I mean, time flows, but we don't know why it flows. Space exists, but we don't know what space is. And the only thing we can explain is the mass that came, like all the mass and matter that we see today that creates our homes, our cells, and everything like that came from the singularity. And that's like one part of a 3-part equation that we have absolute little understanding of. So when we're looking at something that could possibly create its own partition of space and create the flow of time and then create this immense, immeasurable energy that we have come to know inside the universe, what else can you call that other than God?
Well, so you're using God as a placeholder for that which we don't understand. And I mean, that's fine. Like some people aren't religious, but they believe in God because it's like, well, I mean, there's got to be a reason that everything exists. And like, that's fine. Like, I have no problem with that, but it's a belief. And I mean, that's just what it is. I think
just the overall question I have is that, something powerful would have had to create those things. Now, whether you
but maybe not. I mean, we just don't know.
Right, we just don't know, and I know it's a God of the gaps logical
Yeah.
fallacy saying is since.
Well, then there's also something would have had to have created your God, right? But if you say God is infinite and timeless or whatever, then I'll just say, well, so is the universe. Then, boom, we each have congruent beliefs. Then, basically.
Exactly, and that's basically where this argument ends up going.
Yeah.
It's like no matter where it starts, it goes all the way back to creation, back to the dawn of time, and then we're back to square one on equal terms about who did what or what.
All right.